Morgoth, originally known as Melkor, was one of the most powerful beings created by Eru Ilúvatar, the creator of the universe. Thanks to his immense power and infinite wisdom, Melkor was considered the greatest of the Ainur, celestial beings who helped shape the world. In the beginning, Melkor worked alongside the other Valar to build and shape the universe. From the start, Melkor's ambition was greater than merely assisting in creating the world. He craved absolute control, wanting to be the master of everything. His desire for dominance and feelings of superiority made him jealous of Ilúvatar and his fellow Ainur. When the earth was finally formed, Melkor descended to it with the rest of the Valar, but his true aim was to corrupt everything his peers built. He constructed a grand fortress called Utumno in the far north of Middle-earth, where he began gathering monstrous and evil creatures, transforming from a radiant celestial being into the Dark Lord of ruin and devastation. From that moment on, he was known as Morgoth, or the Black Enemy, a name given to him by Fëanor, the greatest of the elves. Over time, Morgoth began to amass vast armies of evil beings. Among his most loyal followers was Sauron, who was originally one of the Maiar, lesser spirits compared to the Valar, but still possessing great power. Under Morgoth's influence, Sauron became corrupt and wicked, transforming from a servant of light into his master's right hand. At the same time, Morgoth created many other foul creatures, such as the orcs, who were originally elves that were mutilated, and the dragons, who were bred as weapons of mass destruction. He even created monstrous wolves that spread terror wherever they roamed. All these atrocities made him a master of darkness, fear and chaos in Valyria and all of Middle-earth. One of Morgoth's greatest crimes was his theft of the 3 magical jewels known as the Silmarils. These jewels were crafted by Fëanor, the most skilled of the elven smiths, and contained the pure light of the sacred trees of Valinor. Morgoth's motivation for stealing them was not only greed, but a desire to humiliate the elves and break their spirit, igniting the long and bloody conflict known as the Wars of the Jewels. These wars were among the most devastating periods in the history of Middle-earth, where the forces of the elves battled Morgoth in fierce confrontations. One of the most infamous of these battles was the Battle of the Plains, where Morgoth crushed an alliance of elves and men, shattering their hope of ever reclaiming the Silmarils. His great fortress, Angband, situated in the north, served as his command center and was fiercely protected by the dragons he created. Despite his might, Morgoth was not without opposition. Many legendary heroes from both men and elves stood against his tyranny. Among them were Beren and Luthien, who dared to challenge the Dark Lord himself. The 2 lovers infiltrated Angband and managed to steal one of the Silmarils from Morgoth's Iron Crown. This jewel became a symbol of defiance against his darkness. The tale of Beren and Luthien became one of the most beloved and powerful stories passed down among both elves and men, showing that even against the mightiest evils, there is always hope. In the end, when the elves realized they could not defeat Morgoth alone, they called upon the Valar for aid. In response to this plea, the Valar sent their armies, leading to the beginning of the War of Wrath. This war was one of the greatest and most ferocious conflicts in the history of Middle-earth. The Valar, the elves, and even some of the men united in this final stand against the forces of darkness. The War of Wrath was so destructive that many of the lands were altered forever, Large parts of Beleriand were swallowed by the sea. Mountains were shattered, and Morgoth's legions were crushed in every corner. Finally, Morgoth was captured and stripped of his once great power. He was bound in chains and cast into the eternal void outside the world's borders, where he would remain imprisoned forever, unable to return. Yet, even in exile, Morgoth's influence did not vanish entirely. His dark legacy remained, continuing to shape the world. Many of his foul creatures, such as the orcs and dragons, persisted in spreading terror, and his loyal servant Sauron survived and took it upon himself to continue what his master had started. The story of Morgoth is not just a tale of power and corruption, but one of downfall and rebellion, a story of pride that turned the greatest of beings into the most malevolent. He was once the mightiest of Ilúvatar's creations, but his hunger for dominion turned him into his greatest adversary. This is the story of Morgoth, the first Dark Lord, who sowed the seeds of evil, making Middle-earth a battleground of great conflicts that changed its fate forever. Support us by like and subscribe to our channel.